I was playing extremely well. In other words, I got on a hot putting streak. All of a sudden, I fell into it, and I started making putts, and I went in to the playoff in 1971 with Nicklaus, and I beat him in the playoff. Gave me a tremendous amount of confidence. I went to the Canadian.
When Lee Trevino calls someone the best ball striker he's ever seen, you listen. But what shocked fans most wasn't who he beat. It was who he absolutely loved watching play. Trevino rose from a Texas shack to win 6 majors and challenge Jack Nicklaus. He's seen every style of golf. So when Trevino says he loves someone's game, it means one thing. They've mastered the parts of golf that really matter. They've figured out what separates champions from everyone else. Trevino doesn't care how pretty your swing looks. He cares about one thing. Can you deliver the club face square at impact? Can you handle pressure? Can you own your game? And if you love hearing legends like Trevino break down greatness, hit that hype button and let everyone know this story matters. Scottie Scheffler sits atop the golf world. Critics point to his feet and call his swing chaotic. His trailing foot slides, his lead foot shuffles. Trevino dismisses this. I don't care about Scottie's dancing feet because the impact is perfect. Trevino himself played with an open stance, aiming left. He used a block fade that required lateral slide and hand control. Purists mocked his motion, but Trevino knew the golf ball doesn't care where your feet are. It only responds to physics at impact. Scheffler's dancing feet aren't a flaw. They're necessary. By allowing his feet to slide, Scheffler manages the torque he creates during his swing. The slide acts like a pressure release valve. It lets his pelvis keep rotating without stalling. Trevino relied on something similar. He recognizes this immediately in Scheffler. Trevino calls Scheffler the best ball striker he's ever seen. This carries enormous weight from a man who stood next to Ben Hogan. When Trevino watches Scheffler, he looks for one thing: the lack of curve. A ball struck perfectly flies with minimal side spin. Scheffler hits it dead straight. This excites Trevino because it reminds him of repeater swings from the past. Scheffler's foot slide keeps the club face square and prevents his hips from spinning out too far. This keeps the club in front of his chest, a hallmark of all great ball strikers. Trevino fought a hook early in his career before adopting the fade. He respects that Scheffler built a motion that eliminates the two-way miss. Scheffler can aim down the middle and trust the ball won't cross his face. This control is what Trevino considers the holy grail of golf. Modern statistics validate Trevino's eye. In 2023 and 2024, Scheffler's dominance reached levels not seen since Tiger Woods in 2000. He led the tour in greens and regulation by a large margin. For Trevino, hitting greens is the ultimate metric of ball striking. Putting is a separate game. Ball striking drives scoring. Trevino sees in Scheffler a player who renders the golf course defenseless because he's never out of position. This boring excellence is what Trevino loves. He often joked that he wanted to be the guy who hit fairways and greens and let everyone else make mistakes. Scheffler is the realization of that ideal. Jack Nicklaus defined competitive golf for an entire generation, and Lee Trevino's relationship with Jack is built on something deeper than rivalry. Trevino famously said, "If I had Jack's power, I'd never have lost." This is often interpreted as a complaint, but it's a supreme compliment to Nicklaus's restraint. Trevino was a finesse player by necessity. He lacked the clubhead speed to carry 280 yards with 1970s balls. Nicklaus was the longest driver of his generation. He could hit towering iron shots that landed softly on firm greens. Trevino views this power as the ultimate advantage. It allows a player to bypass hazards and attack par 5s and 2. But Trevino's admiration isn't just for physical capability alone. It's for the fact that Nicklaus didn't rely solely on it. Trevino has seen many long hitters come and go, players with speed but no control. He loves Nicklaus because Jack played with the conservatism of a short hitter, despite having the arsenal of a long hitter. This mental discipline to play within yourself, to aim away from flags even with a wedge, is what separates Nicklaus from everyone else. 1971 U.S. Open at Merion is where the Trevino-Nicklaus dynamic revealed itself. Merion was a short, tight course that neutralized Nicklaus's length and favored Trevino's precision. They ended tied. In the 18-hole playoff, Trevino pulled a rubber snake out of his bag on the first tee to startle Nicklaus. Jack laughed. The tension broke. Trevino won. While Trevino won the trophy, he walked away with profound respect for Nicklaus's mental fortitude. Even after the prank, and even as Trevino chatted constantly to the gallery, Nicklaus remained in his cocoon of concentration. Trevino notes that Nicklaus never complained about the snake, the chatter, or the bad bounces. He simply played. Trevino loves Nicklaus's mental discipline because it represents psychological armor that Trevino himself had to manufacture through his Merry Mex persona. Nicklaus's stoicism was his nature. Trevino cites Nicklaus's 19 runner-up finishes as proof of discipline and resilience. Technically, Trevino and Nicklaus were polar opposites. Trevino hit low, Nicklaus hit high. Trevino believed the high ball was superior for majors because it could hold firm greens. This technical envy feeds into Trevino's respect for Nicklaus's discipline. Trevino realized that Nicklaus's high ball required more confidence. To hit a high fade over water requires total commitment. A low runner is safe. A high tower is brave. Trevino loves that Nicklaus played brave with a conservative mind. This paradox of aggressive swing and conservative target is the Nicklaus formula. Furthermore, Trevino respects that Nicklaus never beat himself. Nicklaus forced you to beat him with birdies. Trevino's victories over Nicklaus are his most cherished. And Hogan represents something spiritual to Lee Trevino. If Nicklaus is the pinnacle of winning, Hogan is the pinnacle of earning it. Trevino views Hogan as the ultimate Texas player, a craftsman who dug his game out of the dirt. This phrase isn't merely a metaphor, it's a literal description of their shared heritage. Both came from the hardscrabble caddy yards of Fort Worth and Dallas. Trevino loves Hogan because Hogan validates the struggle. Hogan fought a hook and had to rebuild his swing. Trevino, who taught himself with a taped-up Dr. Pepper bottle, sees himself in Hogan. Hogan was famous for his secret, a technical adjustment that eliminated the left side. Trevino maintains that the real secret was hours spent in the sun. When Trevino wrote the introduction to Ben Hogan's 5 Lessons, he emphasized that Hogan's genius was accessible to anyone willing to work. This is the core of Trevino's affection. He loves players who treat golf as a trade to be mastered. Trevino considers Hogan the gold standard for ball striking. While Nicklaus had power and Scheffler has impact efficiency, Hogan had precision. Stories of Hogan hitting a 1-iron into the pin at Marion or hitting the same divot hole repeatedly are gospel to Trevino. Hogan's swing was the ultimate anti-left machine. Hogan used a weak grip, cupped left wrist, and aggressive lower body rotation to ensure the club face never closed early. Trevino adopted a similar philosophy with different mechanics. Both shared a terror of the hook. For Trevino, Hogan's ball striking was poetry. It was efficient, repeatable, and held up under extreme pressure. At Carnoustie, Hogan won by navigating the course and hitting into specific fairway boxes. The Texas winds force a player to compress the golf ball tightly. You cannot be a sweeper or flipper in Texas. The wind will destroy a floating shot. Just hit down on the ball, trapping it against hard turf to produce a low, boring trajectory. Trevino views Hogan as the absolute master of the Texas flight. Hogan's swing was flat and rotational, designed to keep the ball under the wind. Trevino's was too. They are 2 branches of the same evolutionary tree. Trevino's love for Hogan is in part a love for their shared home. When Trevino calls Hogan the ultimate Texas player, he's saying that Hogan mastered the hardest conditions in the sport. Additionally, Trevino respects Hogan's stoicism and was known as the Hawk. He did not speak on the course. While Trevino was the opposite, a chatterbox, he understood that Hogan's silence was his way of digging. Hogan was at work. Trevino respects the professionalism of that silence. Tiger Woods represents a different kind of mastery to Lee Trevino. Trevino believes the hallmark of a true professional is the ability to control trajectory or flight the ball. In the modern game, technology in drivers and balls is meant to launch high and spin low. This maximizes distance but reduces control. Trevino argues that Tiger Woods is the only modern player who resisted this and maintained the ability to manipulate launch windows at will. Trevino has praised Tiger's iron play, noting how Tiger controls distance with the same club. Trevino considers this distance control the absolute essence of great iron play. It's not about how far the ball goes, it's about exactly how far it carries consistently. The stinger shot, Tiger's famous low-flying tee shot, is the modern descendant of Trevino's own low fade. Trevino loves the stinger because it's a shot born of necessity and control. It takes the wind out of play. When Trevino watches Tiger hit a stinger, he's a player who understands the geometry of the golf course. Trevino often cites Tiger Woods' performance at the 2000 U.S. Open at Pebble Beach as the greatest exhibition of golf in history. Woods won by 15 strokes, finishing 12 under par when no other player broke par. But for Trevino, the winning margin is less interesting than how he did it. Tiger did not record a double bogey. He hit greens from the deep rough. He putted on POA Anua greens as if they were carpet. But crucially, he controlled his spin. Pebble Beach is a coastal course exposed to Pacific winds. To score there, you must flight the ball. Trevino watched Tiger hit shots that bored through the wind, never ballooning. Trevino views the 2000 version of Tiger as the complete golfer. He had Nicklaus's power, Hogan's accuracy, and Sieve's short game. Trevino has stated that during that period, Tiger was playing a different game than everyone else. This acknowledgement from a legend is significant. It suggests that Trevino believes Woods raised the ceiling of human performance. Recently, Trevino's relationship with Tiger deepened through interactions at the PNC Championship, a father-son event. A viral video captured Trevino giving a clinic to Tiger and his son Charlie. In this interaction, Trevino pays Tiger the ultimate compliment. The greatest ball striker there is right here. Trevino's obsession with hands is key. Trevino believes that great ball strikers have educated hands. They can feel the club face rotate. He sees this in Tiger. Despite Tiger's muscular build, Trevino recognizes that Tiger's touch and ability to shape shots comes from his hands. Trevino loves that Tiger owns his swing. Like Hogan and Trevino himself, Tiger is a tinkerer. He understands his mechanics. Trevino respects players who can fix themselves on the course. This self-reliance aligns with the dig-it-out-of-the-dirt mentality that defines his career. Seve Ballesteros represents something different in Trevino's heart. If Hogan and Nicklaus represent the science and strategy of golf, Seve represents the art. Trevino loved Seve's creativity and called him a kindred spirit. Both shared a background far removed from the country club elite. Trevino was a Mexican-American hustler. Seve was a Spanish caddy. They both learned to play by feel, using their hands to manipulate the club in ways that defied textbooks. Trevino loved Seve's scrambling ability. Scrambling is the art of saving par after missing the green. It requires imagination. Trevino famously said, "I play with the same swing every day, but Seve plays with a different swing on every hole." He meant this as a compliment. Seve could invent shots on the fly. If he was behind a tree, he didn't punch out. He hooked a 3-iron around the trunk and onto the green. Trevino saw in Seve the ultimate trouble shot player. Trevino prided himself on being a mutter, someone who could play well in bad conditions, but he admitted that Seve was the king. Seve's ability to make pars from impossible places resonated with Trevino's hustler roots. In a money game, it doesn't matter how you make the 4, it only matters that you make it. Seve understood this viscerally. The defining moment of Sev's career was the parking lot shot at the 1979 Open Championship at Royal Lytham. On the 16th hole, Seve drove to the right, landing in a temporary car park. Instead of taking a drop, Sev chose to play from the asphalt. He hit a wedge over the cars, over the gallery, and onto the green to secure a birdie. Trevino loves this shot because it represents guts. Most professionals would have played safe. Sev saw an angle that no one else saw. Trevino calls this turning disaster into magic. This connects to Trevino's love for the street fight aspect of golf. He sees Seve's brilliant play as rebellion against the buttoned-up nature of the sport. Seve didn't play by the chart. He played by his heart. Trevino also admired Seve's killer instinct in match play, particularly the Ryder Cup. Seve was known for gamesmanship and ability to demoralize opponents. Trevino, a master of distraction, recognized a fellow predator. The connection lies in the hands. Trevino had arguably the best hands in the game, soft, quick, and precise. He could nip a wedge off bare dirt without taking a divot. He saw the same soft hands in Seve. This trait is essential for scrambling. To hit a high flop shot requires immense speed, but delicate touch. Trevino and Seve possess this rare combination. Trevino's love for Seve is also a lament for a lost style. Modern golf has become scientific. Seve played by instinct. Trevino's inclusion of Seve in his top 5 reminds us that golf is a game of problem solving. No one solved problems with more flair than the Spaniard. Analyzing Trevino's 5 choices reveals a clear pattern. Trevino does not value pretty swings. He values functionality, resilience, and ownership. All 5 owned their games completely. Scheffler ignores critics of his feet. Nicklaus made every decision himself. Hogan dug his swing out of the dirt. Woods mastered his own trajectory. Seve invented his own shots. None were robots programmed by coaches. All 5 were toughest when conditions were worst. Nicklaus showed up at majors. Hogan played in wind. Woods won the US Open on exposed courses. Seve scrambled from the parking lot. Scheffler wins under pressure. Trevino prioritizes the moment of impact. Whether Scheffler's sliding foot or Hogan's cupped wrist, goal is always a square face at impact. Trevino's list is a blueprint for the perfect golfer. Take the body of Scheffler, the ability to use ground forces to stabilize impact. Combine it with the mind of Nicklaus, the discipline to play conservatively. Add the work ethic of Hogan, the willingness to dig it out of the dirt. Include the control of Woods, the ability to flight the ball, and finish with the spirit of Ballesteros, the pure creativity to escape trouble. That is the Trevino standard for greatness. Lee Trevino's perspective on these 5 players is a reflection of his own journey. He sees pieces of himself in each: the hustler in Sev, the worker in Hogan, the rival in Nicklaus, the ball striker in Scheffler, the professional in Woods. But he also sees things he aspired to achieve: Nicklaus's power, Hogan's silence, Woods' trajectory control. Trevino's voice remains vital in the sport because it cuts through the noise. When he says, "I love these guys," he's saying, these are the ones who figured it out. In a game of infinite variables, these 5 men mastered the true constants that matter. They dug it out of the dirt. They flighted it beautifully through the wind. They holed the putt when it really mattered. To Lee Trevino, that is absolutely all that counts.